Welcome to Pen Physics. This is a series of videos I will do in which I will solve IB physics problems using exclusively fountain pens. So you may ask why. These are two passions of mine, physics and fountain pens. So that's basically it, why I want to do this. So for my IB students, year one, the first problem is a typical projectile problem. So this is actually a question from November 10, final exam. It's a high-level paper 2 question. It's part C of question B4. So I will do only the projectile part. And for that, I will use a Faber Castell fountain pen. This is the Emotion pen with a fine nib. And I've put dark brown ink in that. Okay, so let's start. Clay block, that's my mass. It's projected, launched horizontally with a speed of 4.3 meters per second. The height of the table is at 0.85 meters. The first question is, ignoring a resistance, calculate the horizontal distance traveled by the clay block before it strikes the ground. Okay, and this is worth 4 marks. So how do you solve this kind of problems? I will do it on a separate piece of paper. So let me draw again the diagram. So this was the table, ground, clay block, U, this is the initial speed, H is the height. So it will follow a path like this, a parabolic path, where the only acceleration is G, the acceleration of gravity vertically downwards. Okay. Two independent motions, one on the horizontal axis, one on the vertical axis. This is with constant speed, there is no acceleration, no resistance. This is with the acceleration of gravity. Basically free fall, because there is no initial velocity on the y direction. So if I can find the time of free fall, this is also the time that the mass is traveling the distance r, that we typically call the range. So, for the motion in the y-axis, I can write h is equal to 1/2 g t squared. Okay, I will substitute the values. Therefore, 0.85 meters is equal to 1/2. Now for g, I'm not given any other value, 10 for example, so I have to use 9.81, which is actually taken from the data booklet, and t squared. So I will solve for t, and t is the square root of 2 times 0.85 divided by g, which is 9.81. And I can do this with my calculator, and what I will get is something like this, 0.41628, blah, 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 etc., etc. But I need to pay attention to significant figures. So remember, you always keep the least number of significant figures that enter into your calculations. So if this is 3, this is 2, I need to keep 2. So I need to round the time into 0.42 seconds. So this is the time of flight, or the time of free fall. And during this time, the distance covered in the horizontal axis is the range. So this is the initial speed times the time. Substituting, this is 4.3 times 0.42, and the answer is 1.79. And again, I need to round this to the least number of significant figures. So this is 2, this is 2, so that's my answer. And you can listen to the pen, how nice it squeaks on the paper. Okay, the next question is actually very trivial. On the diagram, what you see here on this picture, you see without a resistance. What would be the path if a resistance were to be taken into account? Well, one thing for sure is that the range will be less. So let's say the mass will land, the clay block will land somewhere here, not there. Okay. Again, though, it will leave with horizontal speed. So initially you have to be in a horizontal direction, and then the path is steeper and lands here. Okay, and this is actually worth 3 marks, the IBO says, which is pretty ridiculous.